Okay. Oh, we missed. We're not doing that. I just wanted to go over this patch notes really quick because I've never done patch notes before. I do read them up, keep up with them. Masters Duel player, like Diamondish, Joust player, and I'm not ranked yet in Conquest. But so like I have a decent. I'm not like the best player. I'm pretty average, I guess, but I have a pretty decent understanding of like the numbers and how the game works. I'm super excited about this patch note. I'm really excited about this patch note. This is a phenomenal patch note from Hi-Rez. Um, I think this is a really big improvement. Mostly from the fact that they actually listened to us and they didn't wait 3 months to do it. Like with the Uller changes, and I'm allowed to say that Uller needed a nerf because I rank 4, play him all the time. He was busted. So I don't care about any of this. I mean, if you'd like this stuff, look, there's the skins. There's other people that'll go into that. Go watch Duke Sloth. Go watch whoever else. I'm more worried about the actual balance changes of the meta because I absolutely love ranked and competitive play. Blink, nerf. Okay, look, I'm a jungler, or I'm mainly a soloer, but I love to jungle. I played jungle all of season 4. I was a jungle main. Absolutely love jungle. Played tournaments in jungle. Love jungle. Shut the fuck up. Stop. 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 Oh my god, I hate you, Microsoft. Okay, you know what? There. Done. Fix that. So I think this Blink nerf is 100% needed. Blink, I was getting Blink first relic. I didn't care who I was playing. Surcat, Nemesis, Camazotz, everyone. I was getting Blink first relic. It was just phenomenal. I was able to like start my speed, do the jungle harpies, do mid harpies, go to blue, and then blink into mid, surprise the guy at level 2 or 3 at that point, and get a pick on an immobile mage at level 2. You know, when he didn't have a maybe an escape yet. It was pretty OP. So I like the fact that they're giving it a slight nerf. It's 20 seconds. It's not going to change it. Challenge the Oracles. I fucking called this. I called it. I called it. I called it. I said it was going to go up 100 gold last night, and here it is today, 100 gold. And this is my problem. I love Challenge the Oracles. I'm happy that they're encouraging warding, but I would literally have games where. Let me see if I can pull up a game real quick. Let's pull up a game. I'm going to show you right now. I don't know if these even. Wait, do these show. Oh, they don't. Okay, never mind. I was gonna show because like literally everybody on my team would have a chalice with the oracle except like one dummy that wasn't paying attention. It was too much. And the reason I don't like chalice with the oracle all that much is because you're not getting sentries usually because people want use a lot of people like chalices of healing and then they'll get a chalice of oracles. No one have sentry wards. I don't like that. So, and the nerf needed to be happened. It was too strong for like anybody to be able to pick it up. I think the 100 gold nerf is fine. Your junglers are still going to get it. Your mid lane will probably still get it, and your support will probably still get it. Solo, I don't really know. ADC should not need this. Maybe in competitive, but ranked, probably not as important. Gauntlet of Thebes. That needed to be fixed. I don't know why I didn't stack off God Kill. This item's kind of broken. I was kind of hoping they would nerf it a little bit, maybe like 10 protections, but they didn't. That's fine. We can always just see how this goes. Big thing. Like I said, I'm big into solo lane right now. Stone of Gaia is a problem. I don't agree with this price increase. I think it's a lot of gold for a tier 2, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. I'm very happy about the passive change. I don't know if I like the gold change. I think the passive nerf might have been enough. The gold change, it's not heartbreaking, but it is kind of annoying. As for Heartseeker, I'm really happy this item's nerfed. I hate this item. I think it limits jungle builds, things like Stone Cutting Sword, one of my favorite items in the game. Just I love the design, I love the idea, I love the mechanic behind it. Like I said, I played a lot of Nemesis, so Stone Cutting is a really cool item on there, but there's no purpose in building it because Heartseeker is way too good. So I think this nerf's really cool. And I think it might give some junglers a little bit more flexibility in their builds, and that's what I love about jungle. Every jungler can be built differently. Not all of them, but most of them. Hootie, they just fixed it. Whatever. Do more buff is odd. And I think they might have done this because it's not getting picked up. But the problem is it's not the power. It's just a really bizarre passive. I do think that Giannis can still make good use of it, but at the same time, when you're playing Giannis, as we've seen in the what the hell is it called? The Brazilian games, and then they had Oceania games today. I think it's called like World Cup. It's not World Cup, but the World something. I don't know. They're doing a bunch of tournaments on at least on Twitch. I'm sure it's on Mixer too. Probably on their YouTube as well. And you've seen a lot of Giannis's getting picked up, and they're just rushing Chronos Pendant because it's 100 power, 20% CDR on a Giannis, and if You have mages, you have 30% CDR. It's really dumb. Giannis is there for rotations and stuff like that. He's not there to stack for the late game. Though he can, it's much more efficient to take advantage of your CDR, pull off some early rotations, and help out your team. So I don't know who else would build this item other than Giannis, because like I said, with those early rotations, sometimes the do more movement speed will help. But at the same time, I just think this item's in a really weird spot with a really bad passive, but I'm fine with the buff. Soul Reaver buff. I really like this. I'm going to tell you why I like this. Because people are still building Rod of Tahuti. Especially with the Book of the Dead, the triple stack build getting nerfed. People just went back to a pretty standard build with the Rod of Tahuti at the end. And I think Soul Reaver now might become a contender against that, and that's actually kind of cool. Enchanted Ring is really, really, really cool buff here. Then they say it perfectly. Building into the ring tree felt difficult. It did. It was really awkward because you get this ring, and it's like it didn't matter. Like backing for the ring or just like it wasn't a big deal. I'm fine with it. It's not a really big deal. I don't really care, honestly. I'm just trying to sound like I care. I don't care about that change. Shaman's Ring. I hate this item. Let's see what they did to it. They buffed its power by 100. They increased its gold. That should be fine. I still don't really know if this item's worth it. I personally don't like it, but I also don't play too much of Mage. It just seems like a really odd item. I'm sure some people can make better use out of it. I'm not even going to really comment on it. I just don't know the item well enough. Pelican's Ring buff is odd, because I don't think this item is weak. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be broken. The only thing that I'm scared of is Freya, because God, Freya was broken, and they did nerf her. But I think this is a fine change. I'm interested to see how it plays out, because I really don't know. I don't play a lot of mages outside of mainly duel. Mostly, I don't play a lot of mid. I'm interested to see how this plays out. I'm interested to see how it's built in the pro scene, and if things like Freya and Soul are going to be playing and picking it up. So we'll see how that item works out. Not sure on that yet. This is where these patch notes get phenomenal. This is I'm really proud of Hi-Rez for taking our complaints and addressing them immediately. They didn't wait 2 or 3 patches. Achilles nerf. This is exactly what he needed. They nerfed his damage on his 1. It was scaling from 100 to 340. Now it's going to be 80 to 300. That's massive. That's what he needs, and this shows they want him to be a jungler. I said it before with some of my friends. I said, if you want him to be a jungler, which they've said they do, keep his scalings high, lower his base damages, let him build some power. If you want him to be a solo laner, his scalings need to be dropped, keep his base damages, they're fine. They decided to go the route of nerfing the base damages. I prefer this route. I much prefer them doing this. It still leaves him available to jungle and to build these bruiser builds similar to like a Ravana would do. So I really like this change. I think this doesn't. He might still be a little too strong. I still don't like that the ultimate is a 30% threshold at level 5. I feel like that could be altered a little bit, but I'm very happy about this nerf, along with the 2-second cooldown to his dash, his 3. The thing I don't like is the stun duration. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the 1 second at all ranks. And I'm saying this as a solo laner and as a frontliner. That's really short. But at the same time, he can stun multiple people, so it's probably not as bad as I think it is. I think it's probably a good nerf. I just don't think it's necessary. I would have much preferred just the damage reduction and the dash and see where he falls. Just because I personally really like playing him and he's fun to play, not because he's broken. I don't think it's a bad nerf. It's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, later on they show Fafnir's stun was only a second, so I mean, it's still like a Fafnir stun. And I guess it's fair because it does hit multiple people, so I'm fine with that. I'm really happy that they nerfed him. That's the main thing. They nerfed him immediately. They did not wait around and play around with it like they did with RTO. Ao Kwang got immunity frame removed. I didn't even know he had one. So, oh yes, Hi-Rez, thank you. Okay, I've said it. Apollo's the worst god in the game, other than maybe Cupid. At least in this current meta. Last meta, it was other guys. This meta, Apollo's absolutely terrible. He has no lane presence at all. His late game presence is kind of non-existent outside of crit, and like he's fine with the power build, but he just doesn't benefit from it as much as the other hunters. I think he much more benefits from it, especially whenever you have like an Odysseus build, because he doesn't need all that attack speed. It doesn't make sense to build that much attack speed on him, even though Odysseus is kind of out of the meta in favor of double lifesteal. I don't know. It's kind of a weird meta in hunters right now. People are doing weird shit like Crusher and stuff, like trans boots Crusher, and then like a I saw Bloodforge, and I was like, what? But whatever. So I don't really understand hunter meta right now. It's very weird, but I'm very happy with Apollo getting a buff. I don't think he's playable. He's not good, but I do really like this, mostly for duel. But we're gonna ignore that. I'm extremely happy that they actually took a character that is extremely underperforming at all levels of play, outside of maybe like super low elo conquest, because Jesus Christ, noobs can't play against that CC. But they took a character that's absolutely terrible. They buffed him. It's a 10. It's a 10 power buff at level 1. It's a 30 power buff at level 5 of the ability. I think it's a phenomenal change. Kronos gets a buff to his auto attack power and his power per stacks of his passive. Basic attack power I like. He does not hit hard. His autos don't hit for shit anymore. A lot. The only issue I have with Kronos, and I love Kronos, I think he needed a buff, is that you also buffed Telkin's Ring in the same patch, and you gave him two buffs here. I don't think he's going to be super strong, but I do think he's now viable. I'm not going to say it's a problem, but I'm curious. I hope Kronos gets played. I feel like this could make Kronos a viable, maybe not a mid lane, but a very viable carry. Maybe not so much in competitive, but definitely in ranked. Whenever people do weird, unconventional shit, it'll work out a lot of the times in ranked. See a lot of weird shit in ranked that works that really shouldn't. But I'm fine with the I'm fine with the buff. I mean, I'm very happy he got a buff. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I don't think he's going to be super strong. I do think this much more incentivizes auto attack builds. I say that it really doesn't, but with the Telkin's buff, I think it might. It might with the Telkin's buff. I do think this could start moving Kronos more towards a carry role, and that's actually really cool. I like that. That's interesting. It's adding a new god into the meta that hasn't been in the meta for a good while. I know he was in the meta sometimes this season 4, but not as predominantly as he was in other seasons, so that's cool. Fafnir gets a weird adjustment. It says that they're reverting a previous adjustment to Fafnir, which, yeah. Okay, so they're increasing his stun from 1 to 1.4 seconds. Well, it's going to scale now from 1 to 1.4. So it's going to be 1 second, then 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 seconds. So his stun actually scales now, which is cool, because a 1 second stun on a support does kind of suck. But then they decreased his self-healing and this by 20, and the scaling by 10. That's weird. But I guess it's to counteract the... I think they're really trying to put him in a more supportive role by doing this, so it's fine. They're just making him a little bit more supporting with the stun and a little bit less impactful on his own by the self-heal being reduced. It's a slight rework. It's not a buff or a nerf. I guess it's more... might be more on the nerf side, but it's so small. I'm not really couldn't really care less about the change. So, again, thank you for listening to your ranked lobbies and to your competitive. Starting Season 5, Hebo has surged in popularity and performance. His ability to rotate and aggress quickly with the Atlas of the Yellow River and the damage heavily with Water Spout and Water Cannon combo. We're bringing down how often he can use Atlas and give more chances to catch Hebo and his team while reducing the damage of his primary form of crowd control heal. Decreasing Water Spout from 85 to 75% scaling. I really, really like that. Increasing his escape from 10 to 2 seconds is odd, but I do think it's a good way to balance. It's odd for me because I play duel, but in a conquest sense, it makes total sense. He's actually really hard to lock down because it's not only a speed buff to him and his team, it's also a slow to use. So he can just string that across the lane and then run away, and it's actually it's annoying to have to run through that if he forces you to, especially if you're chasing in the small channels of the jungle where you can't necessarily walk around it. It is annoying. So I think it's a very good nerf. Awesome that they're decreasing the magical power scaling of Water Spout. Interesting that his 1 didn't get adjusted, but I feel like that's kind of his thing. I would prefer to see the 3 nerfed than the 1, because the 3 is his poke. The 1's really only there to secure kills and to, well, it does massive damage, but if you're that close to them, you kind of should be backing off. You don't want to be too close. Like, you want to be close, but you don't want to be too close. You're still a mage. You're still pretty squishy. So I like that they're nerfing his poke, so he can't just like endlessly poke you from 10 miles away. Kumba buff. Kumba gets decreased cooldowns and increased base damage. I don't know how I feel about the base damage because Kumba does a lot of damage. If Kumba hits you with a minion and hits his 2 and ults, it's a lot of damage. I do like the decreased cooldowns though. A decreased cooldown is one. It helps with his laning presence, which is cool. Because supports are in the lanes now. They're not supposed to be clearing, but he can still knock some of those minions into people, and they'll start chunking people. He gets a one-off, chunks that Hu Yi, and then he gets that groggy strike. Oh, and that Uller combo fall. Yes, yes, Kumba. Might. Still bad. He's still terrible. But look, they're trying, okay? I'm happy that Kumba got a buff. He definitely needed it. Okay. Nemesis. This god. I don't know how to say this. I don't know if Nemesis needed a nerf as much as Nemesis's items needed nerfs. Heartseeker and Crusher on her with her ultimate. It's completely insane. It does more than the percentile damage it's meant to do. So she's completely overperforming in every possible way. Especially now that sometime in season 4, towards the middle end half, I don't remember exactly when, they buffed her Slice and Dice her too, and that increased her early game. So she's no longer weak early game. She's phenomenal in the late game, and items benefit assassins right now. So she's in a really good spot. But you also have to take into account Blink was nerfed this patch, and Heartseeker was nerfed this patch. Yet uh, Nemesis was also nerfed. I feel like it's a lot. But on the bright side, I do think the number one thing they should nerf is her ultimate, Divine Judgment. That completely makes sense. If they'd have nerfed anything else, I would say she's pretty bad. But nerfing her ult means that she can still rotate with her 1, she can still do damage and kill people with her 1, and with her Slice and Dice, her shield is still fine. The ult is, it's the best thing about her kit, but also like the least common thing about her kit, because you're not ulting constantly, right? You're hitting your 2 and your 1 constantly. So if they were going to nerf her, I think nerfing the ult was the way to go. They're decreasing her buff duration from 8 seconds to 5 seconds. That's a really big thing. And they're changing the cooldown from 90, from scaling to 90 down to 70, just sticking at 90. I think sticking at 90 is perfectly acceptable. She's going to be building lots of CDR anyway. It's going to get down to like 50, 60 seconds max, probably. So it's still going to be up all the time. But I mean, at 70, that's a little much. It was up constantly. It was like a 45-second cooldown or something, roughly. I mean, I'm not doing the math. I could, but I'm not. Um, she is the top performing one right now. Ever since Serket got nerfed, Nemesis is just all over the place. She can do a variety of builds. That's what's really good about Nemesis. You can build her pen, you can build her the Crusher Heartseeker build, you can build her attack speed, you can build her crit. You do all kind of weird shit with Nem. Not saying you should, but you can. The options are there. She has the kit to do it. So really, really happy that they nerfed her, and they didn't wait like 5 months to do it. Nuwa. Nuwa gets a lot of changes. Okay. Oof. So Nuwa's ult. Last what? That's weird. I never. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading that now. So they're decreasing the mana cost on her 1 from 70 to 90. Now it's gonna be down to 60 to 80. Scaling, and they decrease the time that Nuwa is revealed in the fog from 3 seconds to 1 second. Decrease the time that Nuwa is interesting. They go in more detail. Now I re-stealth Nuwa. Oh, it's okay. It'll re-stealth her more quickly. Okay. So instead of it being 3 seconds, like if you do damage and you're unstealthed, it's shorter. Okay, that's cool. Yes, I'm so happy they increased the movement speed of the clay soldiers. At the end of season 4, coming into season 5, a lot of gods got movement speed buffs because of the larger map, mostly mages, which is directly affecting Nuwa's clay soldiers, right? Her clay soldiers are now just too slow to keep up with anyone in the game. Not anyone, there are some slower gods that they can keep up with, but it's very hard to get your clay soldiers onto someone. And now it's a lot easier to do that. So that's a very good buff. I'm very happy about that buff. On her 3 Shining Metal, they decreased the mana cost from 60 to 50. I think that's a good buff. I don't really think that's that was a problem for her, but it's a fine buff. And the magical power scaling from 65 to 75, that's a big deal because she's a mage, she's building lots of power. Now she's got 10% more scaling, really benefit that. Okay, now let me see. Um, they don't exactly describe what it says that her ult fire shards can pass through player-made deployables while lifting off. So does that mean that somebody could have blocked it? Okay, I think it's saying that Nuwa can now pass through player-made deployables. So like, if there's like, wonder if they're counting deployables as walls. It doesn't really matter though. So let's say there's like a Vulcan turret directly in front of you. It won't just hold you in place. You'll just move forward through it as if you're flying over it. So that's fine. I mean, I don't really think that matters too much. Raw. This is a really weird buff. I don't know if Raw needs a buff. I feel like with other mages being nerfed, I don't know. I think Raw's actually pretty good in the meta right now. He's not great, but he's not bad. I'm fine with the buff. I'm not scared that Raw's going to become overpowered. I'm actually really excited about this buff because I like playing Raw a lot. The only thing about this buff I don't like is the increase to his base movement speed. It seems a bit odd. Give a mage 3 movement speed when he has a lot of movement speed built. That seems weird. But I will, I'm fine with it. It's not, like I said, it's not going to be broken. It's not going to be S tier. Though he might be like S minus, A plus range. Don't really know yet. Like I said, I don't play too much mid lane. So I'm very happy about the 80% to 90, the scaling increase from 80% to 90% on Celestial Beam. I think that's phenomenal. I don't necessarily like the movement speed. I think that his gimmick is his abilities comboed with the movement speed passive. I think decreasing mana costs would have been more productive, maybe, if you want him to spam abilities to increase his movement speed. I don't think directly increasing his movement speed is the answer, because Raw can get really, really fast. Not that he would build movement speed items, but in theory, you could get away with like a relic dagger or a winged blade, not a rod of healing. Don't build that item. But if you were playing as if you're a Milzy and you want to play Raw support, well, now you're going to be really, really fast. I know it's only 5 points, and I'm probably over exaggerating. I just think it's kind of redundant to give a god that has a movement speed passive more speed. It just seems odd. And this is the reason I'm recording this. I have hated Thoth since release. The day this god came out, actually, let's be real, he was pretty shit. But he got buffed a little bit, little here, little there, and he dominated Season 4. No mage could contest with him in the entirety of Season 4. There were a few that came close, like Raijin for a short period of time. Raijin went from the worst god in the meta to the best god in the meta very, very shortly, and he was Thoth's main competition. Outside of that, Giannis was good here and there. A lot of raw picks here and there, but you've seen a lot of Thoth. He kind of had the same problem that Hu Yi had, and that Hu Yi was picked in like every game of Season 4 and never saw nerfs until he eventually did, and now Hu Yi's a bit underwhelming in the current meta. But Thoth has been predominant in every mode, in every game, in every rank, everywhere Thoth has been there, and he is incredibly annoying to kill. He's annoying to fight against. He does insane amounts of damage. I really dislike Thoth. Especially when you had things like the triple stack build, where he would get this massive amount of health shield from Book of the Dead, and he could just dash out a million miles away, never to be seen again, and then he'll just ult you through a wall when you least expect it and one-shot you. I hate Thoth. So, they said that Thoth has a unique position in the current mage itemization. Bonus penetration from his passive lets him ignore the fact that magic penetration item choices have been limited. With the bonus penetration and high scalings from his abilities shot through the wall, I don't know how to say that, Gilth of Pain, he becomes a powerhouse in the later stages of the game. Skilled Thoth players who play him especially safely Um, do not miss and don't miss. Oh my god, I can't read. Why are you watching this? Stop watching. And don't miss many abilities, and continue to control team fights and poke out enemies constantly, making him difficult to counter. We are bringing down his top end potential by lowering the amount of penetration his passive provides and decrease the bonus magical power scaling from the wall of pain. This is exactly what he needed. I think maybe his one could be adjusted. Take off his stun. I don't understand why his dash also has a stun that's a million miles long. But I think this is a very good start. This will definitely put him in a lot better place. I'm very happy about this change. So you're decreasing his magical penetration per stack from 4 to 3, which in total is going to reduce his magical penetration passive from 20 pen to 15 pen. I think that's as good as it could get. You can't decrease it any more than that, or else his passive just becomes completely redundant and useless. So I'm very happy with that change. And then his the Guilt of Pain, decreased magical power scaling bonus of both abilities and basic attacks triggered from 10% extra scaling to 5%. And they've adjusted the description to better describe blah blah. Don't care. I like that a lot. It's not. He's still going to be good. He's still phenomenal. He's still incredibly annoying to face. Will still dominate jousts. He will still be cancerous in duel, and he will still control the mid lane like no one else except like Raijin, Discordia, Giannis. But he's still better than all of them, in my opinion. I do think it's a lot closer now. There might be some contention, like with the likes of Giannis, with the likes of Discordia, maybe even Raw after this patch. I know Agni's moving up as well. So this definitely could help to balance those out a lot. I'm extremely happy with this patch note as a whole. There's not a single one that I disagree with. Every change here feels very needed. Fafnir's change is weird, but some really big changes that are incredible that I can't believe they actually went through and did is nerfing Thoth, buffing Nuwa, nerfing Nemesis, nerfing Kibo, buffing Apollo, and nerfing Achilles. I didn't expect, honestly, any of those things. I kind of expected Achilles nerf, but at the same time, I thought they might put it off till a later date because they do that all the time. They'll just let it go 2 or 3 patches. Oh, they're not doing that well. Just let them settle in the meta, and they have like a 65% win rate at like fuck it. That's not a high win rate. I'm thinking of Pokemon. I play too much Pokemon. Whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I talked a lot really fast and I stumbled a lot. Forgive me. Don't kill me. Oh, guess we'll look over the skin. Oh. That's. Hold up. It actually looks kind of sick. I thought it was an AMC skin at first. What? Minecraft pig.